I'm just going to leave the mics open. This will be a little thrill for people who are here at the beginning. They're all probably asking themselves. Go ahead.
I was asking, it's a 90-minute show, right?
Yeah. Usually, we'll at about an hour in, we'll cut off any more lines from coming in. Are we live? Yeah, I think we're live. All right, I'm just gonna run this thing.
I just want to make sure that I have enough time to make people feel weird and uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. I'll go all night if you want. Tonight on the line, guess who's back? Back again. Sucks for you. It is Jim, but also Forrest Valkai, and that's pretty dope.
Oh.
This is my jam. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of The Sunday Show here on the line. I am Jimmy Snow, joined by the wonderful, and makes it worth actually watching this episode, Forrest Valkai, who I assume that's how you say that last name, Valkai.
That is, yeah.
Now, that can't be your real last name, right?
Yeah, that's my legal name.
Yeah, that sounded like a lie. Why'd you go so high pitched? Why would you ever put your legal name on YouTube? Terrible idea.
I don't know, man. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
I'm not Jimmy or Snow. I just want everyone to know that. I applaud your bravery. I do apologize if I asked that question.
Sorry. My name is actually Franklin Delano, not Forrest. I'm so.
I like that you went with Franklin Delano. That's who you would be if you could pick any name.
In my head.
Franklin Delano. I've been going on streams, and because I like as a streamer and as a performer and creator and stuff, I'm very conflicted where it's like I love creating stuff and I love to be consumed, but I hate being a public figure. I hate the idea of like people knowing my name. I hate all that shit. And so even Jimmy Snow has now become more my name than my legal name is. And so people in real life know me as Jimmy, certainly. A few people know my last name. I've not gone by my first name since before YouTube. And I just have this conflicting thing where I go on other people's shows and I'm like, you know what? Today I'll be Xander Crookshanks. That's who when people are like, do you want to introduce yourself? And I'm like, no. You want me to expose myself to more people? Are you kidding? However,
make something up.
Yeah. And I like that name. Xander Crookshanks sounds so quintessentially British. What's that?
Don't worry, I won't tell anybody who you really are, Kenneth.
Yeah.
If your name was actually Kenneth, you would have freaked out just then. It would have been radical.
No, if you had there are YouTubers who know my legal first name, and so I would have assumed you had you had known that and then just was being a dick. And I probably just been like, all right, bye everybody. That's the end of the show. And fuck you, Forrest. How fucking dare you? By the way, the phone number is on the screen now, 720-619-2288. What we would really love to have now are some theists call in. We could maybe keep one more line for an atheist, but we've got some open lines. We'd love to talk to some religious people about why they are religious, why they believe what they believe. Now, Aron and I were on a show earlier today. I just kind of want to mention it and promote it for the future so people know. Every Sunday on Aron Ra's channel at 2 o'clock, we are doing a Book of Mormon reader. Now, he was very, very conflicted about moving to doing a Sunday show because so many other channels do Sunday shows. And I assure you it was with great reluctance that ended up happening, but it was the only day that everybody we want to have the show on could be. I also want to test if he kept his promise and that he is in fact watching right now. And now I'm going to check the live chat. Aron, are you out there? But another little fun surprise, another little tidbit for you people who are watching. Aron Ra will actually be joining me next Sunday on this channel in Forrest's seat, I assume. I would love for him to come here and actually.
He's going to come right here to Tulsa, and he's going to sit in this chair.
Where I can't remember where in Texas Aron is. I want to say he's in San Antonio. And I'm bad at Texas geography, so I don't know whether or not he's closer to you in Tulsa or me in, where do I live? Austin-ish.
He's way closer to you, I'm pretty sure. Because
I think you're right.
Down there.
Is that where San Antonio is? And is that where he is? Or is he in Dallas? I know somebody will be. Oh, Zenny in the chat got it right. My real name is Giuseppe. I am a Giuseppe. And then after the show, a little bit of a fun thing for people who like me. We will get into the, somebody's mentioned. So we read the Book of Mormon, and the series is called Joseph's Myth. Joseph's Myth. Joseph Smith.
I love it.
I only got the pun today, and we're 14 episodes, or we're like 10 episodes in. Today, for the first time, the way he said it, welcome back to Joseph Smith. And I went, oh my God, we've been doing that show this whole time, and I had no idea. I had no clue. But Aron is the best. Hey, Aron's here. Aron's in DFW. Hey. So Dallas is north of me, I think like 3 hours. I don't know where Tulsa is in relation to Dallas.
The Tulsa is in the very northeast corner of Oklahoma. So like to get to Dallas is like a 7 or 8 hour drive, I think.
So
it's a while.
He is closer to you or me then, but definitely me. Yeah. Because I think I'm only 2 or 3 hours away. Anyway, great to see Aron in the chat. He will be joining me next week. We'll be taking callers. I have a feeling that we'll be able to get the real good spicy calls next week, because the number of people who think they have what it takes to challenge Aron, it's just my favorite fucking thing in the world. So you might see me shut up on a show for once. That might be just, I might just show up. Oh, how dare you. I might just show up with popcorn and just watch how the whole thing goes. And then a little bit of a fun thing after here, and then next we're gonna make sure that you all know where to find Forrest. A little fun thing, link is down in the description. I'm gonna go and play marbles with anybody who wants to play after this show. It's bizarre the way it works. It's just marble races. You have ramps, they're digital. It's on PC. But you don't have to have anything. You don't have to install anything. You come into my Twitch game and you just type !play in the chat every time we're doing a new round, and it'll put a marble with your name on the board and keep track of how many points you win, all that shit.
You mean actual marbles? Awesome. You're actually playing marbles.
Yes. We're going to drop marbles. We're going to drop digital marbles on digital tracks.
Okay. I assumed you were speaking in code. I thought it was a sex thing. I didn't know what kind of show I was on.
Yeah, No, the sex thing are this week, everybody will be on my channel treated to a picture of a special wand that I made for Godless Engineer. I'm a woodworker. He wanted a special wand. You can guess the theme. Patrons already know. He
works his wood.
It's a dick wand. I'll be honest. It's a dick wand. Is it in here? I can't show it to you. It's not in here. But anyway, so after the stream, there's a link in the description. If you want to come play marbles with me, I know it sounds sort of boring, maybe even. It's bizarrely fun. It is the best thing I have done in my 4 years here. Asking when Aron is hosting the line next Sunday. Aron will be joining me next Sunday. Okay, Forrest, tell everybody where to find you, and we'll start jumping into calls.
Oh, okay. You can find me on them internets. Go to valkailabs.com and you can see links to everything else there. I really recommend you check out my my YouTube channel, where I've got some really cool long form videos. My most popular series is called Reacteria, where I react to and debunk ridiculous creationist videos that are claiming to be able to debunk evolution. You can also find me on the TikTok if you want shorter videos about random nonsense. And sometimes I remember that I have an Instagram and a Twitter too. To somewhat honor that Aron is in the live chat, I'd love to ask you, as a teacher, as an educator, and as an expert biologist, Forrest, what would you say is not creationists' most often cited misgiving about evolution? What would you say atheists? What is the worst pro-evolution argument or most common pro-evolution argument you hear from atheists that are actually wrong? I know one, and Aron is why. Go ahead. I would say it's when people talk about evolution strictly in terms of survival. And this is one that's really easy to do. I've fallen into this trap before, where you talk about, like, if it gives you an advantage in your environment, then you're going to pass on this gene or something. You say it in this really simplified way. And that works when you're talking to people who understand you. But for a lot of people who are coming into it from the outside, they're hearing that as like, the biggest, meanest, strongest, best one always wins. And the truth is, evolution doesn't give a shit about survival. Evolution cares about reproduction. It doesn't care if you have one kid and then die the next day. You still have the one kid, and that's what matters. And so, speaking about evolution in terms that aren't strictly focused on reproduction, again, I make that mistake all the time, and it's the worst, easiest mistake to make that a lot of people do.
There's an excellent video. I think if you typed in Aron Ra monkeys, you'd probably find it. I think the biggest misconception that not only did I have for years, but so many people have for years, people love to, in response to atheists, say, evolution says we came from monkeys. Say, no, it doesn't. it says that we have a common ancestor with monkeys, but that common ancestor would have been something else. And having watched this very long, very thorough episode, it is in fact the case that our common ancestors was a monkey, and we in fact are also monkeys. We would not have lost the categorization. So a lot of people, Aron guessed in there. We didn't come from monkeys. We did come from monkeys because we are monkeys.
It's all about that nested hierarchy thing, because I always say, like, you know, I make sure to make the distinction. We are apes. We are great apes. But, like, strictly speaking, we're monkeys too. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to get that across as well, because a lot of people think you're either one thing or the other. And it's like, no, strictly speaking, we're fish. Like, we can make the line as far as you want. Like, it's all about, you know, these nested hierarchies narrowing into what we are.
And I think it is recent enough that you can say, like, we are much more monkeys than we are fish. I think that's sort of the argument. Yeah.
Well, it's like the same thing as, like, you can say that lizards or birds are strictly speaking reptiles. You know what I mean? It's just it depends on how you define it. Because, like, seriously, if you look up the actual definition of a fish, because of that fact, it's insane. The definition of a fish is this long, all sorts of caveats and addendums and everything, because of how nested hierarchies work, and because we have to be very clear. We're not talking about all these things that came from fish.
Sure. I used to think, and I'm not kidding, I used to say, well, we're not monkeys because we don't have tails. But obviously, you know more, very well. You speak a lot about how speciation especially has much blurrier lines than a lot of people like to pretend. The clarity of this is one species versus another is mostly artificial, and we just sort of assign it that, but these things all have gradients. And so just to say such and such can't breed with such and such obviously totally omits all of the asexual animals that don't breed with each other at all. And
losing out
all that
so
shit.
much, exactly.
I love talking about this stuff. I am looking forward to, right now we're still in the early stages. I'd say we're another month or so from launching, but Forrest has already mentioned it too. Aron, I mentioned it too, as well as some other channel favorites people will see. We're actually hoping to run another show on this channel, add it to the weekly lineup. You'd have a different host every week, and somebody with an expertise would be on to take challenges specific to their expertise. So Forrest, obviously, I'm gonna find the wackest people to call in. I'm excited for that. But let's go ahead. We've had some people waiting on the line for a while now, but Jimmy has vamped to no end because truly he loves the sound of his own voice. So we'll bring Drew on, but if Drew's not feeling up to it, I'll fill in the time. I'm just kidding. Drew, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Just peachy. I have energy somehow, even though my coffee wore out hours ago, but I'm riding on on a prayer.
My energy's waning. I was just thinking about dinner, but since I have you for a moment here.
Excellent.
Forrest, you were talking with somebody about parthenogenesis during the last episode you were on?
Yeah, I was on AXP just before this. Yeah, and we mentioned parthenogenesis.
Yeah, I believe it was Tokyo. A university in Tokyo announced that they had a mouse that had parthenogenic babies. There was a number of caveats with it, though, because I don't think they survived, number one. And number two, they had to genetically modify the mother. They had to change half a dozen or so different genes that prevent parthenogenesis from happening in mammals. But it's interesting that they were actually able to do it, and now they've actually identified a number of genes that prevent it from happening in mammals.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, was like, how did that happen? Yeah, there's no way it just happened, right?
Literally the same. I was like, mammals? We're talking mammals right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super cool because in the past, 10 years, we've had so many amazing strides in understanding reproductive biology. Like we've been able to, I'm sure you heard about they took bone marrow cells and turned them into sperm. They took skin cells and turned them into eggs. Now we've got parthenogenesis in a mouse. Like, we are really, really coming down to understanding how these things work. And especially in the genetics field, humans have all the genes for hibernation too. They're shut off in the same way. So we might be able to really change around how our species works in the next few years if we're able to really master this stuff. It's cool to think about, dude.
Have you seen the story about the man who believes, who describes hibernating, that he basically, in the fall months, he gets into bed and he stays in bed basically except to use the bathroom and to eat 2 bologna sandwiches a day for, I want to say it's, basically he runs through the winter, and then every year he emerges for a,
so not hibernation is what you're saying.
Right. But he's the human hibernator. Oh, we've lost Forrest. Forrest, we
were figuring it out beforehand. It was, there we go. Hey, the trick you talked about worked, just hitting the little button. My camera goes into sleepy time sometimes. I apologize to people.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess the gist of the call is that Jesus was not parthenogenic, unless he was genetically modified.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Dark Forest was awesome during the last episode, by the way. Righteous indignation all the way. I loved it. It was awesome. I had never seen that before. I didn't think it was possible. You're always so easygoing.
I'd like to ask more questions about the mouse. Were any of the offspring male, or was it only female?
No, they were obviously all only female. They didn't have a Y chromosome.
Yeah, well, that's
what I don't think they lived.
Yeah, right.
I think they died within a couple of days of being born, or even hours.
In my mind,
this up. You said it was in Tokyo. You said.
I think so. I mean, obviously, it's been a couple of weeks since I saw a thing on it, and I just sort of skimmed the reference.
In my mind, if you can make a parthenogenic mouse, perhaps you could modify it to also be able to have male offspring somehow, whether that's that they're going to all end up with just a singular Y chromosome, but modify their SRYs.
If you had an organism that was XY that also happened to have a uterus, which we all have the genes for that too.
Sure.
So then you could have males, but then I don't know how you would have females then.
So here's what I want. Here's the challenge.
I'm not sure exactly how that works.
It's
not a straight up cloning. It's more of a meiosis and then they recombine. I'm not sure how that works.
Sure. So here's my challenge out to if anybody is watching right now and who is a theist and a Christian, I would love for you to call and explain to me just how Jesus Christ, being born of Mary with a physical body, could have had a body that represented one with characteristics that require an SRY gene to express, that would be a biologically cis male body. I would love somebody to explain to me how it possibly could be that the Son of God was not in fact a trans man. And if you can't, to my satisfaction, that becomes canon, and you now have to treat all trans people kindly, you fuckers. Anyway.
It's all just magic.
So here's a really cool
you guys
study.
Have a great night.
Kono.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, I was looking up.
Yeah,
birth of parthenogenic mice that can develop into adulthood. This is also out of the University of Tokyo. It's Kono et al. 2004, if you want to look it up.
Very interesting.
Oh.
Very, very interesting.
Okay.
It's freaking dope, dude.
I thought it was more recent than that.
Well, this is just one.
Anyway.
They might have done a new study recently, but this is one that was just published in Nature. This is Letters to Nature back in 2004.
Yeah.
And, you can get the PDF on Google Scholar.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Thanks so much for the brain food. I'm going to be reading that later.
I'm dead serious. If you are a theist right now, call and prove to me, explain to me how Jesus as a man could possibly exist as a man without being a trans man. And if you win, I'll become your version of Christianity. And if I win, you have to start treating trans people with fucking respect. That's the challenge. Throw it down, bring it in. I'll join your church if you can meet my satisfaction. Here's the caveats. Meeting my satisfaction means no invoking magical bullshit that you made up on the spot. You got to make it make sense for me, buddy. But also, if you've got any other theist... Go ahead.
All jokes aside, don't conflate trans and intersex people when you call in, because they're different. You fuckers.
That is also different. Yeah, you better figure it out. Also, if you're going to call in right now as a theist, we are looking to talk to you. It can be a very kind, and you want to debate us? Debate us. We'll take you one at a time so it's not too overwhelming. You want to call in and you want to explore how we could be atheists? how we could possibly look out at the universe in all of its wonder and say this was from a cosmic fart. Because remember, that is the atheist position. An accidental
That's
cosmic
exactly it,
fart,
word for
word created the universe.
It says so in the Atheist Bible.
In the Atheist Bible,
Dawkins.
You're right. That fucking came up a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that episode. That
No, I didn't.
People telling us that Richard Dawkins is the leader of the atheist movement. I'm sitting there like, I don't even like Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
I would say early in my journey, some of his books put to words things I wasn't ready to articulate myself. But now much better people and content as are present here, it's certainly at least Forrest, exist to do that for you, and you don't have to go with a washed up transphobe. It's very nice.
It's kind of hard.
It's tough. It was tough to lose him to such shit.
It's, especially as a biologist. Like, I fucking looked up to him so much. I read so many of his biology books, and like really, I wanted to be that next guy to get up on fucking defend evolution and everything. And it's like, fucking dude, like, get up to date on your shit before you just try to piss people off for the sake of doing it. Like, goddamn, like,
I'm not gonna lie, seeing where Richard Dawkins has gone, Michael Shermer has gone, Lawrence Krauss has gone, where all of these people, Bill Nye is still sacred, luckily, but where all these people has gone, and this is gonna sound very harsh, but I'm glad Christopher Hitchens is dead, because I don't have to wonder. Maybe he wouldn't, but I'm not willing to take the risk, and I can hold him in just this spot of, you were a little bit anti-abortion, though you never advocated for mandating against it, just that you thought it was a bad idea. And that was stupid. And then, you had some Iraq war policies that I thought were stupid. But for the most part, I can just enjoy your books and your content.
No, nobody's perfect.
It's literally just like, fucking Christ, I'm glad he's dead. And as far as the Queen goes, don't care at all. Doesn't affect my life. Everybody this week pretending it does, like my own mother. Come on, let's be real. All right, let's talk to a theist. A space theist, not
fucking
an
throwing
atheist.
out the hot takes.
I'm ready. I am ready. We've got Jasmine in Canada. Jasmine, first, my condolences to you if you do live in one of the provinces under the Queen's command. Of course, my deepest condolences. I'm sure you care very, very much.
Have you heard of Romano Didulo?
Romano Didulo? Not at
Canada.
all.
Yeah.
Is this a person? Because it sounds like a cheese.
Yeah. It's actually a person. It's a lady claiming to be Queen of Canada.
Oh, yeah.
She's a very big...
I covered her this last week.
Telltale covered her too.
She is quite the woman. And she had she had a fake letter from the Queen of England, basically recognizing her as a monarch and asking her if she wants to take refuge in Buckingham Palace. And then at the end, it says like, good wishes and tally ho, Queen Elizabeth. It's just so stupid. Anyway, Jasmine, what do you got?
Just remember.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just remember up here, it's God Save the Queen. So
that's right.
At least we got another queen.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Can I tell you all, I have no idea what King Charles's voice sounds like, so I've decided to, in my brain, I've seen his mouth moving in videos, but I've never heard his voice once in my life. So I'm giving him like a British Gilbert Gottfried voice in my head. That's what I've decided to assign him. Jasmine, what are you bringing to the table? Because we do have here that you are a theistic person. I want to say last time you called in, am I remembering you right, that you thought it wasn't right that atheists should feel like they have a sort of monopoly on science and...
Yes.
Yeah.
In your words, you guys don't deserve a monopoly on science.
That's right. I remember this. Is that what I titled the clip? Is that why I remember you? That is what it is.
Yeah.
Look, we have to sell a certain number of books. We've got to push merch.
I just thought that was so funny.
We got to make the titles very salacious. We've done much worse than that before.
I know.
Jasmine, what did you want to...
I know. I'm not faulty.
Bring us your challenge.
Here, I want to read another... Well, I want to read another quote. I've got a bunch of studies I would like to read off. So can I start with the quote?
Sure. Are you calling to ask us and talk to us and challenge us, or is this low-key proselytization and you're just trying to do a YouTube video? Yes. Okay.
No, I don't do YouTube, no. You guys might be a college paper, but you're not going to be YouTube. Not my YouTube, anyway.
I have
Anyway,
been the subject of an individual's doctorate thesis thing. So I'm ready. I've done it. Been there, done that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Go on with your challenge. I'm ready.
Okay, my quote anyway. Okay, if it is true that belief in God does have some sort of biological function, or maybe our DNA pre-programmed us to believe in God, or a predisposition to believe in God, that has no bearing on whether it is true that God exists.
Correct.
It could be demonstrated that beyond all doubt, it would be a very, very good thing if everybody believed in God. It may even help society in all sorts of ways. That does not make it true. It may even help us biologically as well, but it does not make it true. What I care about is whether it's true.
Sure.
So can you give me your both of your thoughts on that quote, please?
Is it my quote?
No, that's Richard Dawkins.
Okay, I was like, I think I've said this exact rant before.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's Richard Dawkins, and I remember that clip. Yeah, no, I agree with every part of that.
Yes, it very well could be, but what I care about, is it true? That's is it true or not? It's Richard Dawkins is barely not Stewie Griffin.
I was gonna say, what kind of accent are you doing there?
That's my best, Richard. Dear Mr.
It's a nightmare.
What are you talking about?
Let's try.
Well, fuck you. The two of you could decide who that's directed to. No, not you, Jasmine. That was for Forrest, probably. Yeah, both of us agree with that completely. I care more about whether or not it's true than whether it is advantageous. I hope you are not falling for the trap where somebody says such and such could be the case, and you think that means they are elevating it to a likelihood. We talk about this with agnosticism. Those atheists who claim to also be agnostic in its colloquial sense, who will say, I'm an atheist, but I'm an agnostic. And then all these Christians go, so you think there's a chance? And it basically, as though now it's even, like it's 50-50. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but I don't know, but these are equal odds. It's still, to me, tremendously unlikely that a God exists. And I would even say that I'm not agnostic about specific God propositions, just the general idea of basically a deistic position.
Okay. Do you understand why I wouldn't care if God exists?
Why you wouldn't specifically?
Yeah, specifically.
No, will you please tell us why you wouldn't care?
Yes.
Because I don't know.
Well, I'm more concerned about the effects of theism. I mean, you were speaking to a gentleman in Estonia, and you both agreed that health-wise, the studies are pretty heavy weighted towards theism being generally better for. And again, that doesn't apply to everybody, but in generalities, theism is better for health and better for mental health.
Okay, I'm ready for this. Jasmine, real quick. So you're saying you as a theist don't actually care if God exists, or you're saying some theists don't care if God exists, but if you can point to a benefit that it might be worth belief in God to maintain that benefit, correct?
Yes, more or less.
So how do we weigh the benefits against the detriments? So for example, individuals who are religious as a benefit may live longer than people who are not religious. But also in those societies, women will be less likely to be able to have a voice, ability to vote, career, education. So that would be a detriment. So which one do we weigh? Is longer lifespan by a couple of years, because I've never heard it be more than 2 or 3. Is longer lifespan, which one is more important? Longer lifespan or the freedom and independence of women?
Well, are you referring to a theocracy or just a general?
I think we can still look at America. I think the scales aren't balanced here yet. We still have barriers that present.
Both of those. I'm pretty sure both of those metrics fluctuate with general religiosity of the population, no matter whether it's a theocracy or not.
Yeah, indeed.
So the more religious the population, you tend to have less and less women's rights. I don't know about the factor of lifespan being correlated that way, but it might be. I don't know. I've definitely heard metrics of it being like happier, like general happiness, and that definitely does correlate with lifespan. So I would be willing to believe it. So generally, more people are religious, more people live longer, and women have less rights overall. Is that good?
As a value of your own, Jasmine, I have a saying that I say, so I'm going to ask it to you as a question. Would you rather suffer in reality or find joy in delusion?
Sorry, Mr. Snow, you're breaking up.
My God, we're breaking up. Damn it.
The illusion?
Yes. Would you rather find...
Well...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Am I still breaking out?
No.
Okay. As your own personal values go, because this doesn't affect, again, the truth of anything. With your own personal values, would you rather find joy in delusion or suffer in reality? And I'm not saying be tortured. I'm just saying the sort of suffering and depression that comes with like self-awareness.
That's kind of a hard question, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And it might be the difference between... Go ahead.
Well, I was definitely happier as a theist. Trying to deconvert has messed with my head.
Are you currently... what do you consider yourself right now? A theist or an atheist?
Still a theist.
Still a theist?
Probably.
And so at some point you deconstructed and you've decided... For the sake of joy, am I getting this right? For the sake of joy and comfort and happiness, that you'd rather recede into theism, is that correct?
Partly. The other part is, again, I worked in the medical field, trained in the medical field. Again, don't want to go into specifically what it is, but medicine and religion are very tied, especially in the rural areas and the area I am in.
What makes medicine and religion very tied?
Well, a lot of the hospitals in my area are generally tied to the Catholic Church.
So you're not saying medicine is tied to religion. You are saying you know of hospitals that are ran by religious institutions, which, by the way, it turns out generate more income than any sort of charity that they describe as being their motivations. But you're tying medicine to religion, not as medicine as a study, a practice, a field. You're saying you live somewhere where many of the administrators of medicine are religious.
I thought maybe she might have meant real. Okay, never mind. I thought you were meaning that people turn to religion as they're dying.
No, I think she's talking about she lives near places like St. Luke's Medical Hospital and such and such, and such. Yeah.
That too, but I've worked palliative, and there's obviously religion in palliative for those that are.
Okay, but you understand that medicine. Not I can't escape. Do you believe that medicine as a field, as a scientific field, I suppose you would call it, is tied to religion?
It started out that way. It may or may not be that
but
now.
Now it's directly opposed to
now
what
it's
the original
till
start
that time.
Yeah, we're talking about now. Would you say it is current day tied to it or not? And I assume you're talking about it used to be prior to the development of the scientific method.
I pass by the statue of St. Mary's when I go into a particular hospital here every day.
Right, but you understand that statue isn't medicine, right? You understand that statue is the representation of the institution that is financially benefiting from that hospital.
It's the patron saint of this particular hospital. Actually.
Sure, but you understand it's not there because... wait a second, Jasmine.
I can't escape it.
Jasmine, wait a second. You do understand that there are lots of hospitals that do excellent work across the country, may even have a better and some worse mortality rate than that hospital, that have no patron saint, and they aren't doing medicine less than where the patron saints are. You understand that, don't you?
Yes.
So medicine and religion are not linked. Or would you say they are?
Actually, I've got another study I can quote here.
Go ahead.
On physicians. Can I read it?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Frequent parents... sorry?
I said go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Frequent pain was reported by 44% of physicians, 20% having prayed with patients. Most physicians consider themselves religious or spiritual, yet rates of agnosticism and atheism is actually a little bit higher than general pop.
I wouldn't have cared if it was 90%. I'm fine with that. We can go for argument's sake that 90% of physicians believe in God. Does that mean medicine and religion are synonymous?
They once were. If they
You
still
keep saying
are,
once
I
were,
don't
and you're
know,
referring
but
to
they
it. You're saying once were, and you're referring to a time previous to the development of the scientific method, or at least the adherence to it. Like you're describing a point, you're describing, when you say once were, you're describing when medicine developed more slowly, where people got their inspiration for medical treatments through inspiration and prayer. And that's why a bunch of people died, because
Hello?
they were, I'm here. I think it might be you breaking up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're just breaking up again. I guess might be my side, but
Yeah, I think it might be, but you know, who knows? You're talking about a time before the development of the scientific method. You're talking about people who were being inspired, and this is why people were doing silly rituals to try and stop the Black Plague instead of washing their hands, because God, when religion was tied to it, never mentioned microbes or germs, viruses, bacteria, all those things that would be useful. Those were, I hope you would agree, discovered by a method which did not involve religion at all, right?
yeah, I'll agree with that.
But even if it did, even if every single person who was a physician also believed in God, would that mean God exists?
No.
So do you
Our
believe
belief
God
has no
exists?
effect.
Do you believe God exists because a lot of people who impress you believe God exists? Or do you have a good reason to believe God exists?
Well, technically, I'm an agnostic theist, but
Cool.
I prefer to lean towards the side that there is a God of some sort.
Okay, and why? Because it sounds like your reason why is that impressive people do, and because you get comfort from the, you think it might be happier, or you might live a little longer.
Well, that, and like I said, I'm surrounded by it.
So people,
And
not
like
even
I
people
said,
who
trying
impress
to-
you, just people. Sorry, go Forrest.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just I've been listening to this, and like the whole thing is just like it was a problem. Like you talked about all these Catholic hospitals and whatnot. You were describing a problem of capitalism and a problem of corruption and a problem of the church having ownership of these things that, as Jimmy pointed out, are very profitable. Then you talked about the high frequency of doctors that struggle with it, or that deal with religion. Yeah, because they're in a horrible work environment that's not only very much overrun, very much overworked and underpaid, and they have massive student loans, and also are seeing death on a day-to-day basis, and they got to try to handle that stuff while also working on like no sleep for the whole week. So like, yeah, that happens. And now you're talking about well, more and more people believe these things. I want you to understand, like, not a single thing you've said today is talking about a good reason to believe in anything, not just a God, but anything at all. If all those people believed in the Easter Bunny, if all those people believed in fairies, if all those people believed in anything, and there were hospitals dedicated to it and doctors that believed it and a culture around me that believed it, like, not a bit of that would actually be a reason to jump on board.
Jasmine, are you afraid you're going to go to hell if you don't believe in God?
The thought occurs every now and again, yes.
Is that at all part of your motivation to maintain some kind of belief? Do you think you might be hedging some bets right now?
I don't know.
I think this would be, I love hearing from you, by the way. And so I'm very much encouraging you to call in the future. But every time I get this argument from theists like you, it almost always comes back to, but what if I don't believe and I'm wrong? And so if we can have you back again in the future, and I'm not kicking you off the phone if you have some more points you want to make. But if we have you back on in the future, I'd love for it to be how much of your motivation to believe is, one, because you want to be accepted by your community, two, because you are afraid that if you completely let go of belief, you might go to hell, and three is because Jimmy Snow is on the other side and you don't want to line up with that fucker. what I want to answer. I'm just kidding on the third one. Just 1 and 2. Just 1 and 2 would be the things I'd want to explore with you.
Yeah, I do got a little bit more I want to talk about. I don't want to take up too much time, but
have it all. I got all night.
Okay. I've come across a lot of studies. Unfortunately, a lot of the problem with atheism is the negative perception. I've got like 6 studies here I can quote.
True.
The negative perception, and
until recently, people said they would be more comfortable. This, I think, was true up through like 2014 or so. We've had a pretty good PR shift in the last few years as more people have been leaving religion. But up through like, I think it was 2014, most of the country, and it was above 80%, said they would be more willing to vote for a rapist than to vote for an atheist. So you're damn right. Atheists have a perception problem. The first one starting with a mass misunderstanding of what atheism is. And then sort of other smaller issues that follow.
Can I quote another study with regards to this?
If you want. Neither of us disagree with you.
Okay. Participants intuitively judge a wide variety of immoral acts, including serial murder, incest, cannibalism, etc., as representative of atheists, but not the 11 other religions, ethnic, or cultural groups. Even atheist participants judge immoral acts as more representative of atheists than any other group.
Right. That's a PR problem. You're not describing that atheists commit more of those murders.
No.
Commit more of those.
No, God, no.
But yes, you are right.
But the perception is bad.
Yeah. What year is that study from, by the way?
That year is 2014.
Yeah.
That particular study.
Which is funny because that's around the date where perception started to change.
Yeah. And what you're talking about there is it's very close to the halo effect. What you're talking about there also.
There is a halo effect on atheists.
It's like when somebody tries to talk to their grandma on Skype and you both keep talking at the same time. Grandma, shut up. Let's let Forrest go here.
No, I was just going to just throw that in there. That has a lot to do with the halo effect, which is a psychological phenomenon where if you attribute one good thing to a person, you assume that they have a lot of other good attributes and that they would never have any bad attributes. And a lot of times that conflates not only with morality, but also with religion and also with appearance. Seeing someone who is tall and handsome, you assume that they're a better person than someone who's kind of maybe short and looks kind of gross or whatever like that. You will assume that they are a lesser person, a weaker person, a more immoral person, no matter what, because of this effect. And we do that a lot with religion because we teach people that in order to be a good person, you have to believe in God, and only bad people wouldn't, and that this is the good book. It's where you get the morality from. Where's your moral compass if you don't have a God? And all these moral laws were founded on Christianity and all this other nonsense. Not a bit of that is true, but we teach it to children. And so now we have a society where people think that if you don't believe in God, you don't know how not to murder people. And that's ridiculous. I've been asked more times than I like to admit. How people have asked me like, "Hey, why don't you murder anybody or rape anybody or anything like that if you don't believe in God?" Fucking, I murder and rape all the people I want to. That's 0 people because I'm a good person without this religion.
Yes, you are, Forrest.
Jasmine, or Forrest rather, do you mind if your first argument there where you're talking about the way we have biases and judgment of people on these different bases that we jump to those conclusions, would you mind if I try to re-summarize your argument as I perceive it? I think what you were trying to say, Forrest, and forgive me if I'm wrong, is what if God was one of us? Was that right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You got it finally. Yeah.
I fucking nailed it. Jasmine, I think people in the chat want to know this. How do you just answer the question if your 2 options are yes or no? Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Can you give us one good reason we should believe in God?
I got a study maybe that might help with this. I don't know if it will, but I want to read it anyway. Will you permit me?
Yes, I do think I know what has happened since the last time you were here. I do think you maybe utilize Google in a confirmation bias sort of way, but it's okay. I'm happy to engage with it anyway.
PubMed, but okay.
Go ahead. What's the
Okay.
study?
It's a study on DMT. More than 2/3 of those identified as atheists before the experience no longer identifies as atheists after. These experiences were rated among the most personal, meaningful, spiritual, and significant life experiences with moderate to strong, persistent, positive changes in life satisfaction, purpose, meaning, and meaning. So
Here-
take
That
DMT.
sounds about like
That's a good
DMT.
reason.
Jasmine, I'm going to blow your fucking
That's a
mind
good
right
reason
now.
for God.
I'm going to blow your goddamn mind
Okay.
right now. I think less than
Okay.
10% of atheists are skeptics. So that study that you just said is actually worse than I would have expected, because having done many drugs, I understand why people have that pull when they don't have a good frame of reference and system to actually evaluate what they've just been through, because it is extremely significant. I have done the types of drugs that, I'm not kidding, at one point I thought I created portals in my nipples. And that shit was just a good, I'd love to do it again if I could make it happen on purpose. I don't care what, so look, you're not talking to, I don't know how Forrest feels. Forrest is a little bit newer to the scene than I am, but I think he's probably smarter than I am. And so he probably got to this conclusion faster. When I got into YouTube, I had this naivety that most atheists were skeptical, that most atheists would be humanists, and that they would generally be good people that you can engage logically. Turns out it's not even most of them. I thought I would have liked most atheists. Turns out I don't even like most of them. So as far as this study that you thought might be a good reason to believe in God, I've done all the drugs.
Well, it's the best I
That's
can
not
come
one.
up with. Do drugs. No, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
I believe you.
I honestly,
I would piggyback on that, because I also am of the mind that people are people, and that's hard to remember sometimes, because you do attach. We were just talking about tribalism on the last thing I was doing. Like, you tend to attach this unifying factor. Oh, I'm an atheist, and I know how I feel. If you're an atheist, then you surely feel these ways too. But at the end of the day, that one thing that you have in common could very well be the only one thing that you have in common. So yeah, no, I too have been very surprised from time to time by the fact that atheists are still humans. And I also, like Jimmy, have done many drugs. And I remember back when I was spiritual, I believed in this connection to the universe and this energy that we can't explain and all this Deepak Chopra type bullshit. And man, shrooms were a hell of a confirmation for me of a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And now, looking back at that, I'm like, oh, I now understand what those chemicals look like physically, and that helps me understand what they do in the brain, and I can draw out the reaction mechanisms of what's happening, and it actually makes a lot of sense that I would feel that way, and that's why acid is better. And like you do these different things, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, no, I've been there, yo, and like I had the opposite experience. I felt those crazy things, and then I thought about it rationally, broke it down, and stopped believing in that nonsense.
Forrest, is there a patron tier where I can do mushrooms with you?
I haven't coded it yet, but yeah, we'll put it on there.
You're a complicated man.
Oh,
I would love to
mushroom
do
club,
mushrooms.
yeah.
Here's what I think we should do. I want you to understand that studies are great, and they are great pieces of things. And you have to really think, though, when you go and you find these things, just because one person thinks this is a good refutation, is it really? So start with, as you're considering this between now and next time, I don't necessarily think a lot of atheists have a good reason to be atheists, though that doesn't mean I say their reason to be atheist is bad, because there's not a lot of bad reasons to take a null position. There are plenty of atheists who will say God doesn't exist because of X, Y, and Z, all terrible reasons, and they're taking on a burden of proof that they simply don't need to, because, I mean, they've already made a tremendous mistake. Then there are atheists, dare I say, ironically, gods like Aron Ra, who can steel man everybody to fucking hell, and you could call him and ask him questions next week, Jasmine, if you like, because I would enjoy seeing that. But between now and then, I do want you to consider, what are your motivations to believe in God? Is it good reasons to believe in God? Because I think after all of the studies we've gone through right now, you now understand that none of those are good reasons to be atheist or theist, for the record. None of them are. I think you understand that now. So I'd like to know, and maybe dive into next time, what are your motivations for believing? And do you really think they're good enough for anybody else to believe besides you? Because if you can come up with a reason that you think more than just you should believe, that would be the thing I would spend an entire show on, frankly.
Okay.
All
I
right.
can see what I can do. I mean, I don't have a good reason to be a theist. I really don't.
Acknowledging that might be the beginning of the journey. I don't know.
Theism- Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a great reason, honestly. But
Let's talk about it more next time.
the atheism. Okay.
No,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank
No,
you
wait.
both for your work.
Finish that. Atheism what? I'm positive I want to hear that sentence.
Well, I'm just saying I don't have a good reason for theism, but right now I don't have a good reason for myself for atheism. So I'm kind of stuck in a limbo position, but
Yeah, so let me ask you this.
that's about it, I guess.
I'm going to tell you something. Fairies exist. Do you have a good reason to believe that?
No?
Do you need a good reason to not believe it?
Probably not.
Isn't the good reason to not believe it that nobody's proven it?
I'll have to think about that one.
You will. You've just had your first lesson in the
That's
burden
really
of
it.
proof. Yeah.
That's really, because like if you ask me why I don't believe in God, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is there's no evidence for it.
Yeah.
That's the same reason I would say that I believe or do not believe in anything. Is there evidence? Is there a good reason?
Yeah.
I can talk about how good it makes me feel. I can talk about how it means meaning to my life, how it was what my parents taught me, how it matters to me, how it gives me a purpose, how I took a bunch of drugs and now I think it. But at the end of the day, the actual only thing is there evidence? Is there a reason? And I can give you several reasons why I don't like the idea of a God, why I personally don't adhere to any religions, and why I fight against religions, and why I help to free people from religions. Like, I can talk about how awful I think the God is and the concept of a God is. That isn't a good reason not to believe in a God. There's only one reason, and that is that there isn't any evidence. That's the whole thing.
Jasmine, you started this call with a quote from a famous atheist author. Would you mind if I end this with a quote from a famous atheist author, but a different one that I can pretend might not suck?
Sure.
That which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. And that's your good reason to not be a theist, now that you've acknowledged there isn't a good reason. And that is from the late and maybe great, I sure hope he still would have been, Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah, I've listened to him. He's not bad.
He's brilliant. Brilliant guy. Thank you, Jasmine. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and I hope it's
you,
next
Paul.
week when Aron's on.
Well, we'll see what I come up with. Thank
Sure.
you again. Thank you both. Both of your work is very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
much.
I swear the fuck you earlier was for Forrest, not you. All right, moving in.
What a nice lady.
Definitely. And clearly curious. I think I recognize that she is in a phase that I have been in, which is sort of this, I need to prove this to myself to be able to hold on to this much longer phase, but where maybe you haven't actually figured out yet what the quality of proof actually looks like, what actually is sufficient. And for me, I remember it was this acknowledgement of like, all right, there are basic things about this world that aren't near as significant as the concept of a God. Little things that we start to learn how to test from a young age, like such and such is hot. And then we learn about how to test that and experience it without necessarily burning ourselves. And surely, if that is our standard to accept these things that actually have far less impact in our life, because technically God, there's nothing that could have far less, more impact or close to the impact of God in our life. Shouldn't this giant universal truth be able to meet some standard of that equals its grandeur? And when I discovered it wasn't, I was heartbroken. My life,
Because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yeah.
I can honestly say my life ended. The life that I have now is a different one, and it's better. So much.
And that's the you hear that a lot in the way that she was speaking as well. Is when you would ask her like, do you have a or when you asked her, do you still believe in God? or do you have a reason to, or anything like that, anything that related to her confirming that she still had this belief. It was the way that she said, like, she confirmed, like, yeah, I still believe. It was sort of obsequious. Like, she was like almost a little bit embarrassed. Like, yeah, I kind of do. And like, I get that. Like, she's trying so hard to understand something new and to wrap her head around something new when she's, very clearly got a lot of, like, she probably fear and reason to, or anything like that. She was a Christian, shame or guilt to deal with.
Yeah.
Like that. She's got a lot to work through to get there.
Tons.
And man, I fucking feel for her. So Jasmine, you were fantastic to talk to, and I wish you all the best. And I hope very soon that you'll be able to, completely tear off those shackles and just be free, because you deserve it. You seem like a really nice person.
Learn not just about atheism, learn about skepticism, and learn about humanism. Unfortunately,
yes, it's scary, and that's the point.
Right.
It's a really important thing I want you to remember, because I remember I think she said at the beginning, like, she was starting to do deconstructing, but it was just jumbling her mind all up. And like, that's the thing, is that you've built this whole house on this bullshit. When you tear out the foundations, you're gonna have to start from scratch. Like, you gotta, it is scary, and that's okay. You will get through that, and you will be you'll be better because of it.
And in the interest of being truthful over protecting people, just so you know, it is scary, and actually for a while it does suck, but it's so worth it. I won't pretend that if you do come out that the next phases might not suck a ton. For some people they don't, but fucking
it's
shit.
like exercise.
Fucking sucks.
It sucks at first, and it continues to suck, and then all of a sudden there's benefits.
Yeah. So on this show, we don't usually address super chats. This is a direct question, so I'll go ahead and we do on the other shows on the line. But Mighty Thimble wants to know whether or not you'll be firing back at Kent Hovind's Whack an Atheist segment about you, or is it not worth your time?
Honestly, I thought about doing something really fast and just like shooting something off about it, but I wanted to take my time and kind of see whether, because like it honestly, I watched the whole thing like twice, and God, it was he made two claims. So like he looked at my whole body of work and he made two arguments. One was he took the very first Reacteria video I ever did and pulled one claim out there about whale hip bones. I taught it the way that you would teach a community college class, and he said, well, there's actually new research on this and like that was a fair criticism. That was sure, absolutely. There was more to say about that. And by the way, I said it was a vestigial structure. What I should have explained was that it was an exaptation. That would have been more accurate. But I wasn't teaching at that level. And it was this is the first video.
As though that's what he was.
Didn't know what level to teach at.
As though that was his correction, was like, let's make sure that you're being very accurate about.
Yeah, and that's like the thing that sucks about it is that, like, again, that's a fine thing to criticize me on. Yeah. No problem. Sure. I taught at a much lower level than you think I should have. That's fine. Whatever. It's no problem. That's anybody can criticize me for that. The thing that I found was funny was that was also the only claim in the video that there was an accompanying article from the Institute of Creation Research. So the people who actually do the thinking did some, and then Kent got that and was like, oh yeah, no, this is the thing I can call this guy out for. And then the second thing that he said was that I think that there are 16 genders and that I'm teaching everybody to 16 genders, which I have never actually said. What he did was he took a thumbnail from TikTok, because on TikTok, you don't have a video title. So you just put words in the thumbnail. A lot of creators do. I do. So he took a picture of me with the word 16 genders on there, which is the thumbnail of a TikTok video, and argued against that, and didn't actually argue against the actual points that I made about
this young man, this man believes that there's 16 genders, some as silly as that. Anyway, let me get back to my belief that the pterodactyls were around during the Civil War. Have a look at this photo of a pterodactyl. That's a real fucking thing, guys.
And then, of course, throughout the whole time that he was arguing against that, he made a bunch of other claims that weren't scientifically accurate. And so, like, the whole thing, those are the only two things he actually said about me. So I don't know if it is worth a full response video. Frankly, the entire rest of the video was him trying to sell shit. It was really fucking boring. So if he had been funnier, maybe I probably will do something later. But like right now, it's just not super high on my priority list, because like
I'll link you
he
up
didn't
with Paul
actually
if you like.
argue against me. So like, what am I gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
I can link you up with Paul.
And also, the whole
if you like
the whole reason why Paul Logia.
Yeah, I feel like the Apologia. Yeah, I feel like the two of you, that would be a fun thing to see because he's one of the other. Apologia, whacked.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. The whole thing, like the reason he whacked me off in the first place was because I made a video about Matt Powell and his homophobic, hate-filled, pseudoscientific, dumb nonsense, and then Ken Hovind had to come in because Matt Powell needed his dad to come fight his battle for him. It's just the whole thing's such a clusterfuck. I don't know if I want to even deal with it, but I'll do something later.
Sure.
Those were the only two arguments he made. One of them was acceptable. The other one was silly.
We call Matt Powell Cupcake around these parts, just so you know. We don't name drop him. It's just Cupcake. If you ever see him, I'll send you my video on him. There was a whole thing. He called me the F slur. We did a whole thing. My acting in that episode, very over the top. That was back when I, if I'm being honest, that was back when I tried. All right. Let's jump into another. I want to talk to another theist. So we're going to talk to Charles. Charles, who is a theist that is a space theist and has a problem with survival of the fittest and evolution. I wonder whether Charles was around at the beginning of the show when we talked about common misconceptions about evolution and this came up. Charles, you are on the line.
Hey guys, how are you? I just wanted to say I was talking to Forrest last show about the Exodus. I got disconnected. I tried calling back a bunch. But I don't want to get into it again, but I just wanted to point out that the Hebrew wall, and I encourage you to go look it up, has two meanings. One is joined and the other is wall. So it potentially said the water was joined to the right and the left. It doesn't necessarily say wall. But I wanted
Charles.
Fun fact,
Go ahead.
I was going to say my graduate advisor, the person who oversaw my research in grad school, is an Israeli citizen who speaks fluent Hebrew, and she always told me that the funniest thing to her is when white Christians tell her what Hebrew means, because she's not buying any of that. She never bought any of that either. But go on.
I actually learned Hebrew from Fiddler on the Roof. But actually, before you go though, Charles, to go on, I want to know whether or not are you a theist which believes the literal Exodus is a true story of history of the world?
I do, and I don't see how my race has anything to do with my ability to look up Hebrew. That was kind of ignorant and kind of a stupid thing to say. You're completely
right, and I apologize on Forrest's behalf.
I do. Yeah, I mean, you can look up Hebrew. You don't have to be white or black, and not to mention Hebrew today is a lot different than Hebrew back then. So your teacher's a Nimrod. But anyways,
so might be the
you
caller
completely missed the point of what she said, but that's cool. Go on.
And very, very interesting. So might
maybe
be
the racist comment threw me off.
Maybe we consider the Nimrod status of a person who might call in and assume that their race was assumed before anybody asked. But I don't know. Maybe not. Charles, if you'd like to.
He called me. He said white Christian. Right? What do you don't listen? Like, what are you talking about?
It was to distinguish from ethnic Judaism. It wasn't to say you're wrong because you're white. It's to say you don't have the cultural history and context of what you're talking about.
I also don't remember the part where he
that is her first language. That is her mother tongue. And so she understood it better than the person that she was arguing against. That's all.
Don't you think it's in my best interest to look up the Hebrew?
Charles.
That's the thing, dude.
Charles.
Spanish is a second language. I don't have the context.
Charles, you've also revealed that you believe in the literal Exodus.
The Christians are the racist bigots, right?
Charles, shut the fuck up for a second. I'm trying to talk.
Dude,
I've been trying to get this in.
Charles, in there.
If we want to talk about your ability to look up things and scholarly resources, you've just said you believe in the literal Exodus, which has been let go by even some of the largest, most religious institutions in the world. So you want to sit here and go, could I look up something and be accurate? You've already failed on one of these big parts, but we can go down that road if you like with the Exodus, or we can go with the challenge you're calling it about survival of the fittest.
Yeah, no, just watch the other show and you can have fun. But I wanted to address, Dan, what you said at the start about, maybe I got it wrong. You said that when the religious people, because the religions dictate that you should wash your hands, and now we know that microbacteria is good for your body. Is that what you were alluding to?
Yeah, I was saying that actually viruses are the best too.
Like before, yeah.
Yeah. So Jesus was actually criticized for not washing his hands before dinner. I don't know if you know that, but anyways, so sorry?
Yeah, because they used to wipe with their hands. So that was the thing. It had nothing to do with microbiology.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily, but you're saying that religious people are taught to wash their hands, and we know now that microbacteria is good for you, and Jesus was criticized at dinner for not washing his hands by the religious Pharisees.
Wait. Are you suggesting that it is the scientific position that exposure to microbiology, which by the way, microbacteria, which by the way that is a good thing, by the way, happens in far more forms than you just touching your hands with your face. Is it your suggestion that the current scientific understanding is that we should not wash our hands? Is that the suggestion you have?
No,
here?
just not, of course not, but not excessively, right? Like if you look at like peanut butter, how many kids were dying of peanut butter when we were kids? That all came out, all these viruses and allergies came out once we all started sanitizing and washing our hands. Like there's certain bacteria that are necessary for children, right?
It's just track better, dude.
It's
like saying that there's more cases of autism now. We've improved diagnostic factors and we've increased tracking. Like people have had allergies their whole lives.
How many kids did you see die of peanut butter, Forrest, when you were in school?
0.
I never heard of such a thing. I never seen such a thing. Now you can't even bring
glad
peanut butter
hear
to
you
school.
didn't give a shit about people dying before recently, but
No,
the fact is they have. For
No, because
time.
it didn't happen.
Charles didn't see
no
it.
kids collapsed from peanut butter.
Right,
Do you
Charles
think
didn't
that it didn't happen, or do you think nobody told you?
Not like it does
what's
today.
more likely,
no.
that all of a sudden everybody's biology changed, or that there have been such a thing as allergies the whole time?
Charles, I want to ask a question, and it's
what do you think is likely?
Charles,
that people started dying of peanut butter after we forced sanitizer on everybody? Or
Charles, I'm going to ask a question that seems completely out of the woods, and if you like, we can skip it and get to your challenge. What is your reaction when I say the name George Soros?
George Soros. It rings a bell. Who can you explain it?
Okay, no, we don't need to go into it.
That covers it. That's great. That's
you're
just
good.
fine.
You're good. Yeah. I am willing to engage with you because you're not the level of conspiracy theorist that I thought you were so far. So I'm willing to continue on. That's a huge relief to me, honestly. What is your challenge?
Okay, so I watched some of your videos, Forrest, and they're actually very educational. And I've listened to some of the things that you guys talk about on the show, and I just wanted to address. There's one point that I've heard a few you make. I think you made it for us. It's an analogy about two guys in a cemetery. Does that ring a bell? And they see the ghost.
No, but I might have said something like that. Doesn't sound familiar.
They pulled out their swords and shot one another. Is it that story?
No. So they say that the two men are in the cemetery and they see a ghost. I've heard a couple people say it on the Atheist experience. They see a ghost. The one guy goes, I want to go see what that is. And the other guy says, I'm getting the hell out of here. And the point is the fact that our fight and flight gets us to run away from danger is proof of evolution, as instinctually we want our bloodlines to succeed or survive. Is that a fair statement?
Fight or flight responses, like, I would say that is the result of evolution. You could point to it as like an indicator or like a tool for teaching about evolution. I wouldn't say that the presence of your sympathetic nervous system is proof of evolution in any more than I would say the proof of you can smell things is proof of your evolution. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird thing to point to. What are you driving at when you ask this question? Because maybe I agree with you.
I'm driving at
clear.
So I'm driving at, from what you guys say, like even today you said evolution wants you to have at least one kid, right? So what I'm getting at is
it wants that.
Do you think
it does want that?
Yeah. So do you think it would be a normal instinctual action for one to stomp out their own bloodline instinctually? Does that disprove evolution, or is that just unnatural?
No, there are several examples. There are plenty of examples across various species of altruistic actions for the benefit of the species or the population as a whole that ends up in the death of that one individual. So like there are times where self-sacrifice actually has a distinct evolutionary advantage and where we can test it. And it varies from species to species, from case to case. But like, no, to say that the suspension of the fight or flight response to go and check out what the ghost is, that doesn't disprove evolution or have anything to do with evolution, really.
There are also many species who have a diverse group of almost like categories of workers, like roles within where what they're doing together furthers the species replication without any individual mean, think about all the number of ants that never get to fuck the queen. They're not passing their specific seed along. So it's complicated when you get outside of humanity too. It's brilliant to me that when you look at evolution as a whole and you take a look out and you're looking at all of these species, that somebody would call in and go, well, what about our reactions to ghosts?
Well, I mean, that's a great example. Like ants as a whole thing would be a great, description as to why the idea of going out and fighting at the risk of your own life really doesn't disprove evolution at all. Because if you see an ant outside of the colony, there's a 99.9% chance it's a female ant that will never reproduce, because the vast majority of ants in the colony are female. So like, if that is their whole job, is to go out and be the soldiers to go defend the place and never have any children. That's because they're an R-selected species, so that's fine for them.
Yeah. One person was mentioning crabs that lay eggs, and not just eggs, but even once the eggs have hatched, little baby crabs, they just start eating the eggs, the crabs right away. They're just like, oh my God, I am a crab and I love seafood. Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah, but post-maternal cannibalism, just munching on your babies, that's another thing that's very widespread in the animal kingdom.
But anyway, back to ghosts.
Yeah, so anyways, what I'm driving at here, and I don't want to sound ignorant, I'm just honestly, genuinely curious how you justify this. I have no stake in the race, right? I don't mean to sound ignorant. But that being said, how do you justify something like homosexuality where they're instinctually stomping out their bloodline? From an evolutionary standpoint.
Just the way we explained it. That's not even crazier than ants.
Yeah, it's just a variation, man. And there are also, like, homosexuality is something that we've seen in over 1,500 different animal species. It's all over the place. And there are actually several evolutionary hypotheses that support it as a benefit in the species, in a population. So, like, it's not a crazy unheard of thing.
Population control?
There is one argument for population control. There's also we call the gay uncle hypothesis.
The population
it is. It's just it's out there.
Yeah.
It is, but it's out. It's sort of like when we talk about like the provisioning hypothesis of bipedalism. It's not right, but it's out there and it's worth learning about. Same thing with when we talk about there's the whole gay uncle hypothesis, which is the idea that a homosexual male would stay at home while the other males are out gathering resources and help take care of babies and things like that. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. And some of them have more credibility than others. We do not have a set answer on exactly why homosexuality occurs, but we do know that it's pretty ubiquitous across the entire animal kingdom. And there's some pretty strong evidence for a genetic factor for it as well, although there's almost certainly triggers that happen later on life, epigenetic factors that factor into it. So like, it's just, it is a very natural thing. To call homosexuality unnatural is like calling sex unnatural. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's much more natural than owning a toaster.
Yeah, no, I agree. I believe it's instinctual. I believe, like you said, there's genetic and environmental factors. Absolutely, I'm on board with that. I was just curious how you guys rectify that, listening to those kind of analogies, like the ghosts, which came from the atheist experience, and just the idea of evolution, how you would rectify that. But that makes sense.
I would defend being homosexual just by introducing you to my friend Fernando. He is fucking hot. Don't tell him I said so.
There's actually a couple of good books out there. There is a book that I believe just called Homosexuality in Nature. And there's another one that's called Biological Exuberance, I'm pretty sure is about, if I remember correctly, is about this. It's been a little while since I had to know any of these things, but I'm 99% sure those ones cover it. If you want to look up, there's another book called Evolution and Human Sexual Behavior. It's got a picture of a lady blowing a kiss on the front, and I'm pretty sure that it covers homosexuality. It definitely covers like the biology of sex versus gender and like how these things function. I'm pretty sure there's some literature in there about homosexuality. Definitely read Evolution's Rainbow. That one's got chapters on homosexuality and when sexuality develops and when the best evidence of that is. And I think Sexing the Body covers it as well. Sexing the Body is by Anne Fausto Sterling. Homosexuality in Nature and Biological Exuberance, I don't remember. Evolution's Rainbow is by Dr. Joan Roughgarden, and Evolution and Human Sexual Behavior is by Drs. Gray and Garcia. You can find all of those on Amazon.
Okay. All right, perfect. No, that was a good answer. I was just curious, so thank you for explaining.
Wait,
don't go,
don't go, Charles.
Okay.
Why do you believe in the Exodus?
I went through it all with Forrest. I actually went through it with you and Josh one day as well. It's the same guy. You remember that?
I remember, yeah.
And you said you walked to Costco.
We destroyed
Remember?
you.
You did not. You wish.
I remember.
Hey,
it was an easy challenge.
Before I go, can I leave you with a Hitchens quote? I know you gave one. Can I give you one?
Do you believe in Jesus?
Yes, of course I believe in Jesus.
Why do you believe in Jesus?
Because he's the Son of God.
No. Why do you believe in Jesus? Not what do you believe about Jesus. Why do you believe in Jesus?
Why do I believe in Jesus?
Yeah, that would interest me way more than all of this.
There's a whole bunch of evidence for Jesus.
Name one.
Prophecies.
Name one evidence for Jesus.
The prophetic. I called in today earlier and I talked about. Was that with you? Prophecies? Was that you?
Me?
Who was on the first show today?
What? The first show of what? This is our first show all day.
Who was on talk? Oh, it's Johnny P and Secular.
Oh,
I called in and I talked about prophecies with them.
What prophecies?
Wait, I know there's a ton of evidence for Jesus.
No.
What's your favorite prophecy?
About all the...
Name one. Just name one of the evidences for Jesus.
Number one prophecy.
Okay. Well, the one I left them with, right, is you guys know in the end times, you guys always mock about wars and rumors of wars, right? But Jesus...
You're fucking with me right now, Charles. You watched my show with Aron Ra earlier today where we made fun of the Book of Mormon saying wars and rumors of wars. You're fucking with me.
No,
this is a joke, right?
No, Johnny P said it. Johnny P said it.
We
too.
said
You
it
guys
at
all
2
said it.
o'clock
It's an
today.
atheist talking point.
We said it at 2 o'clock today, and we reamed the concept that anybody would go, all right, here's the challenge, Charles, on the absolute off chance that you are fucking serious, because I don't think you are. Do I know you in real life and this whole thing is fucking with me? Is that what this is? Are you a friend?
No,
okay, fine.
Here.
Name a time after 600, because this is when it happened in the Book of Mormon, when Nephi supposedly said it. It was in 600 BC. So let me pretend Nephi existed. It was in 600 BC. Name a single time in human history after 600 BC that there weren't wars and, oh my God, rumors of wars? You want to go with, oh my God, did you hear about that one war that might be happening? Or, oh my God, that war is so basic. You want to go with rumors of wars, Charles? How fucking...
No.
My God. When has that ever not applied?
I didn't go with rumors of wars. I didn't go with rumors of wars.
Okay,
I'm saying you guys mock that.
Fuck yeah, I do. It's so stupid.
I know you do. Okay, so let me explain this.
Okay.
So when Jesus talks about that, he says, but don't worry, all these things must come to pass. He says, once this gospel, which this is insinuating is being at least copied at the present, he says, this gospel of the kingdom is preached all across the world, then the end has begun. So there he's prophesying that Christianity is going to reach the whole globe, and he's also prophesying that once it reaches the whole globe, that's when the Antichrist will rise, right?
Right.
He says the abomination that caused...
Define the whole globe. When do we get there? When do we fill in the meter and we're at the top and you hit the whole globe? Because as far as I can tell, apparently the Antichrist seems to be hundreds of years, if not thousands, overdue. Maybe you could say not until Columbus comes to America and rapes Christianity into it. But when do we get there?
I think that we're there. Honestly, I think Jared Kushner's the Antichrist. I think he's going to be Trump's vice president. I'm not joking, man. You watch. He'll be Trump's vice president. It's Kushner, man. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anyways,
you got me. You're right. I said I would.
I knew you'd agree to that one, man.
Right. Why didn't the Antichrist come in 1800 when Christianity had hit all corners of the earth?
Well, because we didn't have planes, right? Like now we're able to. And because
when did Jesus mention planes? Because if Jesus mentions planes, now you got a fucking ball game.
No, he didn't mention. But the idea that we have planes and we can reach the whole world at this point is so accessible, right?
Buddy, I'm not trying to fucking blow your mind here. I'm not trying to blow your mind here. They did it with boats.
I know. But back then too, it was different, right? So the Catholic Church doesn't preach the gospel of Jesus at all. It's more the gospel of Paul, if anything. And Paul was a scholar of the Old Testament, so they contort his words. But the actual true words of Jesus are just starting to come out in the last, couple decades, right? People are preaching the true gospel. They're using Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John rather than Paul.
I'm sorry.
So
are you saying that the
when-
emergence of fundamentalist Christianity, you're saying, is unique to the last few decades?
Well, look at the history of it.
That's not what I. No.
slavery
Answer
isn't
my question.
condoned
Answer
by
my
Jesus.
question. Answer my question. You think that fundamentalist Christianity, and by the way, I assume you know that the actual context, and you love to bring up context in Hebrew and all of that shit. I assume you know that the context of Jesus talking about coming back, he was acting like he was headed down to the gas station for smokes and would be right back. This concept of 2,000 years is absurd. I assume you know that.
Yeah, but time is different. Time is different to God. He says a day is like 1,000 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even when the guy was on the cross next to Jesus, right? And he says, today you'll be with me in paradise, right? And then Jesus died for 3 days. Obviously, it wasn't today, right?
Yeah.
The point is today is a different meaning to God than it is to us. Right?
Clearly. Jared Kushner, is he going to run as a
there a
Republican
language
or a
barrier?
Democrat?
It's Kushner, man. He lives there. He bought the 666 Wall Street for an extraordinary amount of money, right? It doesn't even make sense why he bought it. He's a genius. The guy's a genius. He ran Trump's entire campaign, right? Trump even said that. Without Kushner, he wouldn't have won, right?
Hey, how many
he's a
super
Jewish
chats?
Guy. He's rich.
How many super chats?
Huh?
How many super chats for $6.66 would I need to receive, and I could be the Antichrist? No, I'm serious. If we're gonna throw some fucking number bullshit out, if you're watching right now and you want to support the channel, send $6.66 and I'll end the world by becoming the Antichrist.
I'll send you $6.
Jared, no, $6.66. I don't want your.
I can't do that. Guys.
I don't want your $6 then. Keep it. Jared Kushner. Why? So Jared Kushner, is he going to run as a Republican or a Democrat?
Well, Trump's going to run as a Republican, right?
And so Kushner's going to run as...
go back to Democrat.
You think Kushner's going to be Donald Trump's vice presidential pick?
Vice president. Yeah, for sure. 100% I do.
Oh my God. Okay, Charles, 100%. You're saying, is that the real number you would give it? That is the confidence you have?
It's not
100?
a prophecy. It's just a theory.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's him. Not just because of the 666. That's
if he
just
doesn't,
a connection, right?
If he doesn't, will you admit you're wrong and that fundamentally you understand that you have gotten something incredibly wrong about the existence of the universe and the meaning? Like I said, it's just a theory, man. I'm not saying it's a hypothesis, and it sucks.
All Christians have a guess on who it is, right? I think it's
I think it's telling you picked. I think it's funny that you got real upset that we implied at the beginning that there might be some sort of
conspiracy.
No, that there might be some extra licenses taken by white Christians when it comes to Jewishly sourced thing. And you've come up with a theory where the most politically prevalent Jew you know of is the Antichrist. I find that interesting, to say the least.
There's a lot more prominent Jews than Kushner. Come on now.
Name one more. Name one. You don't even know who George Soros was. Name one more politically prominent Jew than Jared Kushner. I've got one for you. You won't like it though.
There's a ton of them. Jews are a very smart group of people. They run the whole world. They dominate the entertainment industry.
You don't know who George Soros is, but you're repeating the fucking...
George Soros is that rich businessman,
isn't he? Jews dominate the entertainment industry is a Nazi dog whistle talking point, by the way. It's not true. It's bullshit.
Shut up.
Well, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm saying they're smart.
Stop bringing your facts to this. That's not what we're doing now.
Because they're the most evolved people, right? They were the first people, in my belief, so they're the smartest. They're the most evolved.
Charles, name one more politically prominent Jew than Jared Kushner. You've said there are thousands of examples. Tons, I think you said.
I couldn't tell you, man. I don't know.
Exactly. And my assertion to you was that you picked the one politically prominent Jew you know and made him the Antichrist.
No.
Charles,
when I was looking at Kushner, I didn't even know he was a Jew. He doesn't look like a Jew at all. Right? He's like a...
What dude?
Oh my God,
dude.
Well, he does. He's done.
You realize that everything you've said. You realize that everything you've said, like for the past 5 minutes, is just dripping in anti-Semitic neo-Nazi bullshit.
Charles,
right?
I'm not a neo-Nazi. Come on now.
Charles, do you
You just happen to say all the things that they say, right?
Charles, do you own a lot of hoodies?
I don't hate Jews at all.
Do you own a lot of hoodies?
I think Hitler was an asshole. I don't.
Do you own a lot of hoodies, or are most of your hoods a separate accessory from the jacket? Is what I'd like to know.
Come on, that's awful, man. Can I give you my Hitchens quote?
Sure, you fucking Nazi prick. Go ahead.
I'm not a Nazi. All right. Hitchens said, if I could eradicate religion, I wouldn't. I don't quite know why. I just wouldn't. Why do you think he said that?
Yeah, I've seen what you're talking about. And now you're not just a Nazi. You're also trying to withhold the rest, which is where Sam Harris then challenges him and says it almost sounds like you are saying that you would keep religion around just to argue with people, and surely that's not what you mean. And Christopher Hitchens says, I dare say I think it might be. So he likes to argue about religion with people. Okay, well, there's the...
he said that. He said that in the video. He's debating that Christian pastor, and they're sitting in a limousine. Yeah. And he explains that he was having a conversation with Dawkins. And he does say that. He says, not just because I couldn't argue anymore. He said, although it would be that, but not just that. He said, if I could eradicate it, I wouldn't. And he said, and the way Richard Dawkins looked at me sticks with me to this day.
Good one, Adolf. I gave you the broader...
It's a good thing that we don't worship Hitchens.
Yeah. And by the way...
I like it.
Well, he's dead. And I guess according to probably your worldview that he's burning in hell. I did put your name as...
What? I never said that.
I did put your name in... I did as a joke put Canada as your country. I do want to apologize for that. I realize now I should have put...
Germany.
I should have put 1930s Germany. I do apologize. Goodbye, Charles. At a certain point, I just stopped debating Nazis. All right. He's not going to be happy. I bet you he calls back. He's like, come on, guys. You called me a Nazi on your show just because I said Jews run the media. They run the world. They've got the banks. And just because
they were the first humans and they're super advanced and they're...
the one politically prominent Jew. Look, Charles, I'm not actually saying you're a Nazi. I'm saying you might not even know you're a Nazi. Because that's...
You just bought into the white supremacist Nazi dog whistles so hard you don't even realize you're saying them anymore, which is what they fucking want.
I think you might show up to a rally about something else, and then the Nazi guy is like, hey, 1 second, and people are like, shut up, Nazi, and you're like, let's hear him out. Okay, come on.
Oh, there's a lot of white robes going around on this. Oh, we're doing hand things. That's cool. We're waving. Why is nobody waving? Just very strange.
Shouldn't you put more in your wrist when you wave? I don't know. This seems very stiff.
No, it's very... Why do all these people believe the same things I believe? That's the thing. If you believe something and you're not a Nazi, that sucks. But you have to ask yourself, if the weird, outlandish thing that I believe also happens to be the thing that all the Nazis believe, maybe I'm on the wrong side here. Maybe I need to think some things through a little bit better.
I wasn't insulted
also,
the
if
Jews.
you get really, really upset that someone might insinuate that you're white, maybe you've been triggered too hard by that, and you've been trained that there's anti-white racism out there.
Yeah, I like that. He was like, your Hebrew teacher sounds stupid. Oh, my God. I wasn't insulted the Jews. I admire the Jews very, very much. That's
Yeah, they're great people.
It's
like the people who say, like, I don't hate Mexicans. I love Mexicans. They're so good at cleaning. Like, you don't get how that's still a fucking shitty racist thing to say, right?
Yeah.
But I complimented them. I said something nice.
I do want to thank Charles for one thing. Charles, thank you for the excuse for us to turn the show into two white people tell you what's racist. I appreciate that. This fucking day. All right, we got one last call that we're going to take. Let me make sure that I have the tag here ready. Travis is... Nope, don't drop. Let's hit talk. Travis is an atheist, pronouns he, him, and is from my old neck of the woods, Colorado, and wants to talk about vaccine mandates and the equivalent, the argument made about bodily autonomy for abortion rights. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. Oh, Andrew, it looks like you're from Denver. We were probably neighbors, Travis.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys?
I just talked to a Nazi.
Yeah.
But he could not see his own anti-Semitism.
Yeah, hopefully my call goes a little bit less, crazy.
Well, how do you feel about the Jews? I guess would be how we start.
I was gonna say, let's start strong here.
They're very fine people on both sides.
Oh fuck!
Oh yeah, fuck off, fuck off.
Very fine people on both sides. Anyway, go ahead,
I was
Travis.
talking about.
Sorry.
I was talking to my
for
friend. It was when Marjorie Taylor Greene said that dumb shit about like how the Jews had the space lasers that lit some shit on fire. And I was talking to my buddy about it. He's like, well, what did the Jews say? Did they have a statement? Because you gotta believe if you're that fucked up, you gotta believe like I knew a Jewish kid in elementary school. I bet he was in on this shit. That son of a bitch. Like it's such a stupid way of not thinking. I'm sorry. This is the second fascist that I've talked to today. I'm all hyped.
I do want to point out to the person in the live chat asking, how do you call in? I dare say, now we have closed lines, but I would assume that the phone number on the screen probably is the way you do it. But anyway,
there it is.
Go on, Travis from Colorado, who has not shared his feelings on the Jews yet. Go ahead.
The Jews are fine. I'm not like.
That's good. Very brave position of you there, Travis. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Big fan.
Not controlling the media.
Yeah. As a person with 0.2% Ashkenazi Jewish DNA, I am very happy to hear that. That's literally what I have.
So much that he's got so much Ashkenazi that he doesn't know the word Ashkenazi.
How did I pronounce it? What did I say? Ashkenazi?
Ashkenazi?
I said Nowzy, I think. Didn't I? I don't know.
For God's sakes, go on, Travis.
I really try to take
sorry.
that Nazi sound out of it. Travis, vaccine mandates, abortion, my body, my choice. That's what you want to discuss, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was in let's call it a discussion with someone the other day. I was, made the bodily autonomy argument for abortion. And again, it's, the fetus doesn't get any special rights. They don't have anything, or again, any special rights that, supersedes the right of the mother. And they go, well, it's, same thing with vaccine mandates, my body, my choice. And again, I'm open to being proven wrong on this or showing a different viewpoint. But my argument is, well, it's for the safety of society. Then vaccine mandates kind of supersede bodily autonomy, except in actual medical reasons for not getting a vaccine, like you're immunocompromised or something like that.
Yep. So here's how I would have gone with the discussion with a friend. Right now, people are getting very real legal consequences and denial of medical services for abortions. If you get an abortion in a place where it is illegal, you may go to prison. Go ahead and name for me anywhere the equivalent of that has happened for vaccines, because the mandates that existed only existed in workplaces, only existed in certain public spaces. You might be denied entrance to a place. The mandate did not extend into your personal home. Nobody's coming to your door if you secretly decide not to get a mandate, as you might with an abortion. There was no mandate in the sense of you have to and you have no choice. When you say I'm not going to in a public space, the violation of bodily autonomy is not saying you have to have a vaccine here. It is what you may then do if infected to other people. If we always had a neon black light or something that colored all the shit coming out of our mouth all of the time, the 6 feet distance rule would become 10 feet and we'd implement it for fucking ever, except for those couple of weirdos. Because we as humans are disgusting and we're shedding ourselves all over the place. We're surrounded by our own dead skin flakes all the fucking time. We're just fucking gross. The violation of autonomy does not come at the moment of you can't be here because you aren't protected. You might infect other people. It becomes when we say, you can just come in and infect, which is why in a lot of places, the alternative to vaccinating for a lot of institutions and public places was to just show a recent negative COVID test. Yes, there are certain jobs who said this is a make or break. Unless you can say you have one of these couple of approved reasons, you will be fired. you do not have a right to keep your job. And vaccine mandates are as old as this fucking country is, as far as it existing under American rule anyway, as old as American colonialism. They've existed since George Washington mandated the smallpox vaccine.
Yep. I would just throw to build on top of that. Anybody who's super strong against the vaccine mandates as they are, which to call them a mandate is kind of silly, but like anybody who's super opposed to this should also be super anti, like, for example, Disney. You're not allowed to have tattoos that show to the public or piercings or dyed hair. Those are all bodily autonomy issues as well. I should be able to tattoo myself wherever and pierce wherever and dye whatever. And if this job can say, I'm not going to hire you because of that, for the exact same reason with the exact same legal precedent as if they say, I'm not going to hire you without a vaccine, then you should be against all of that too. And you should be for all of us weird blue-haired liberals out here in the world because we all have bodily autonomy. I think the two things are not comparable at all. And to make that argument is, if not unintentionally, very disingenuous.
There is an interesting thing now that the anti-vaxxers are claiming they were right all along. One, because a lot of the mandates have been dropped. A lot of the guidances have been dropped, and a lot of people have given up, and they go like, see, and we didn't get vaccinated and everything's fine. And then you're literally like, yeah, everything's fine. I know 6 people who died, you fuckers. Are you shitting me right now? Like they legitimately think they won some, and it's this whole thing of like, had we achieved herd immunity at the rate we could have, way more people, we're talking millions of people across the world saved, lives saved. But also, I got COVID right at the beginning of the whole goddamn thing. My asthma and my migraines were worse for a year and a half. I only stopped feeling the effects of long COVID last year. And it may be the case that it also exacerbated, earlier this year, exacerbated things about depression with me, anxiety. And then there's other effects, obviously, of the pandemic in general. And the lockdowns could have ended sooner. But it's this whole fucking stupid argument. And then what I want to say is, how do they say, well, my body, my choice, and then not extend, since they haven't had that violated, they haven't gotten vaccinated, and the right, for some reason, is like, yeah, that's fine. Let's just have more of our voters die than the other side. It's a weird fucking tactic to win the presidency next time. How do they do that and then support Roe v. Wade? Being overturned, being overturned, not supported.
Yeah.
Support Dobbs.
My favorite one was when people say that the vaccines are meant to kill off people and they're meant to population control. Then why would you do it to the people who were complying with the government's guidance? Right. Wouldn't you want to kill off the people who didn't do that so you get the sheep, quote, quote, left over? The vaccines working would be the best thing for the government to do. What if you think they're so tyrannical? Like, God.
Well, God damn it, Forrest, you just weren't expecting me to be so damn smart, is what happened there. You didn't expect me.
I've reverse psychology on the tyrannical shadow government of lizard people.
Don't be mad that I outsmarted you. I'm about to get my new, the Omega. I'm going to get the Omicron variant vaccine. Hopefully, hopefully tomorrow or Friday.
It's available near me. I'm getting that shit. I'm gonna eat all the vaccines.
Maybe.
It's gonna be great.
I think if you call around to Walgreens and pharmacies nearby, it's supposed to be like last week was when the shipments were all coming in, and so you may be able to get it now.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath because I live in Oklahoma, so like we'll see.
Texas, bud. I'm in Texas. We're not in Colorado with Travis, where the vaccines grows on trees and you get to.
Quit bragging about all the vaccines you have, Travis.
Yeah, you got to smoke weed with your nipples out because Colorado's awesome. Colorado freed the nip, or at least a lot of places did in it. Anyway, Travis, any other challenges there that you feel like your buddy would have come back with, or whoever this person was in your life, maybe buddy no more, that you would like us to help prepare you for?
No, you guys could basically cover it. Honestly, I was the few drinks in and a little bit angry at the guy, so I had to step away before I.
Which guy? That fascist? What did he do?
No, no, it was just the person. I was at actually like a family dinner, so and also in public. So
I thought you were saying you were angry at the last call, and I was why? What did he do? Yeah, no, I get it.
God.
I get it. Well, Travis, I'm glad you called and asked, because I know it's a question that a lot of people hit where they go like, fuck, how do I push back on that? Like, as far as I know, and as far as the arguments I've heard so far, like, I'm not ready for it. And so this works as an example of, we'll clip it. I'll probably make it sound a little bit, Travis, and don't worry, people will realize when they open it. The title of this clip is probably going to say something that makes it sound like you were defending my body, my choice, but people will listen and realize that it was clickbait. So it'll be all right.
Okay, good.
I gotta sell t-shirts, bud. I'm just kidding. We don't even have merch on the line. Anyway, thanks, Travis. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking my call.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Travis.
Take care, Travis.
I want to remind everybody that I would like to play marbles with you. If you're listening right now, I want to play marbles with you right after this stream. It's going to take me a minute to get it set up. I'm going to go in the other room. There is a link to my Twitch channel. You're going to be able to play from the chat. What marbles is, maybe this is original marbles, I don't know. You have a track, you put a marble on it, and they race each other. Everybody who types each round !play in the chat, a marble goes down for you. It's going to have your name on it and everything as long as you're signed into Twitch. There's an app by which you can customize your marbles and everything. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I love this. And I put on the persona of being a sort of race announcer. And we watch, let me get rid of the banner here because I don't know how Robert feels about marbles at all. I don't want to say he's endorsing the marbles without his permission and consent. This is the thing that has brought me the most fucking joy since the pandemic. And that includes getting a new dog and a new girlfriend, though we did then break up. But still, marbles was better than the good times. So
I'm sorry to hear you broke up with your dog. That's awful.
Yes, that's right. My dog is dead to me now. No, actually, during the pandemic, the dog I love more than anybody in this life died, and I got a new dog to fill the hole in the heart. Didn't work. I love this dog in a different way. Does not fill the hole at all. But this dog is insane. Come play marbles with me.
I hope you find a dog to fill your holes.
I think I agree. Come play marbles with me. There's a link. Also, one of our mods is definitely about to throw that in the chat to my Twitch. Within 15 minutes, I would say, it'll be up and we'll start playing. Forrest, why don't you tell people where to find you and whether or not there will be marbles there?
You can find me on the interbutt. Go to valkailabs.com and you can find links to all my things, my YouTube, my TikTok, my Patreon, all that stuff, my merch store where you can buy one of these delicious t-shirts. I really encourage you to check out my YouTube channel as well, especially more than anything. I've got a great series there called Reacteria, and I'm about to release, starting the end of this month, a new series about evolutionary biology that is just pure informational awesomeness. I think you'll enjoy.
Are there any marbles in any of your content?
There aren't, but I can try to figure out a way to get marbles into like a future episode of something. I don't know, man.
Forrest, do you have a Twitch account? Will you come play? You don't have to, but you can literally do it passively in the chat. Please check it out.
I think I have a Twitch account, but I don't know any of the... I started a Twitch account like before I did TikTok or anything because I wanted to like just teach science on Twitch as like a thing, and it sucked and it was really unpleasant and I had a terrible computer. So I'm sure somewhere out there is a Twitch account with my name on it that hasn't posted content in like 2 years or 3 years.
You can sign in, I think, with Amazon Prime if you have an Amazon account as well.
I'll see what I can do.
And by the way, everybody who has Amazon Prime but isn't on Twitch, you can actually support creators you like on Twitch. You get 1 free sub per month for having a Prime on Amazon account, and that is money in the creators' pockets. All I'm saying is the link's there, and I think if you watch us play 1 round, and each round's only like 2 minutes, you're going to go, I'm signing the fuck in. This is the most exciting thing of 2022, marbles on stream. Plus, Forrest, I genuinely think if you want to know how to set it up, I think people would love to play marbles with you on stream sometime, and you're going to want to see it. I'm not trying to bully you, but I will never invite you back if you don't come. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Someday I'll do a Twitch stream or something.
I can't sell how much I love marbles enough. It's fucking the best. All right, links are going to keep going in the chat. They're going to spam you. There's a link in the description. I hope to see as many of you there as possible because it's just the best fucking shit in the world. Go find Forrest links for marble-free content, unfortunately. But do go check that out. I will see you over on Twitch here in a few minutes. And do not miss next Sunday's episode of the Sunday Show. I will be back. Sorry, fuckers, but Aron Ra will be here too. Thursday, Transatlantic Call-In Show will have Katy Montgomerie, and I want to say Jesse Gender is joining Katy Montgomerie for the Transatlantic Call-In Show. However, Matt is off this Wednesday unless Forrest wants to fill in for him, which I have to get Matt's approval first. But now I've just suggested maybe such a thing happen.
Yeah, you only did it in front of hundreds of people. Nobody will know.
There's no pressure at all. No, but just assume for the moment that it's canceled and that I'm a huge dick and that Forrest is reevaluating whether he ever wants to do a show with me ever again. Marbles is
I'm
the
looking at my
best.
calendar now. We'll figure it out after the show ends.
Wouldn't it be embarrassing if I then message Matt and Matt's like, fuck no.
Absolutely not. Fucking hate that guy.
Fucking that douche. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging out. This was a great episode. I had fun. Forrest, I hope you did too. Stick around. I'll talk to you a little bit after the show. Actually, you can take the last word, I think.
I hope you all have an amazing day and a happy life, unless you're a fascist.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That was great. What? Why is it not working? End stream. There we go. Maybe. Nope. And now.